Education over corporation. Education over corporation. Education over corporation.
I am a very young woman who hasn't even started pre-K yet, but that doesn't mean I don't have a sense of fairness. Some of my best friends are the creative people who teach at the Art Institute of Philadelphia, and they are being ill-treated by the corporate powers that, quote, unquote, own their school. On Monday, April 16th, the faculty held a rally in front of their school.
That's what we want, right? So what do we want?
Contract!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Contract!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Contract!
Who can own a school? A school is a sacred place where useful knowledge is passed to a rising generation. Only corporate bean counters could think of something as silly as owning a school. In my opinion, the Art Institute belongs to its own community of students and teachers and staff. Nonetheless, the company that owns the Art Institute is called Education Management Corporation, and they are headed by this guy, Todd S. Nelson. More about this handsome, square-jawed titan of industry later, but Education Management is owned by an even bigger company called Goldman Sachs. You may have heard of Goldman Sachs. They rig things against their own customers, who they affectionately call Muppets. And they were a big player in the 2008 financial collapse.
Education over corporation. Education over corporation. Education over corporation. Education over...
The Art Teachers Union, the Faculty Federation, is negotiating with these corporate types. But progress is slow, and it seems like the management really wants to stick it to these nice creative people.
These are very tough negotiations. We are out here fighting, as everyone has said, for the integrity of the school, for education that's important to the students and also important to the faculty.
26 years ago, this faculty got together and unionized, and one of our demands was a sabbatical. A chance to get out, refresh yourself, come back as a better teacher. Anybody who's had a sabbatical knows the value of a sabbatical. Is that right?
Yes!
This administration tells us we have too many sabbaticals. Never mind that our sabbaticals amount to 1% of the gross income of the Art Institute of Philadelphia. AIPH brings in $70 million every year, and they think that our piddling 1% is too much because it might prevent somebody in Pittsburgh from getting another bonus.
I love America, but I fear what is happening to it. Unions are so important, and the only hope the little guy has in the face of these corporate types is to stick together.
You can also be falsely accused without recourse. That means that an administrator decided that you did something they didn't like, could basically have you dismissed. Now, as with our contract, we have a way of protecting you. Isn't that important, faculty?
Yeah! The bosses want to be able to evaluate faculty using a subjective form called a PPAR, and then fire any teacher who they give even a slightly below average grade to. The clear rationale for this is to be able to lay off anyone they want and not get sued.
I will never, ever vote to accept that. That part cannot stand.
A few months ago, the school got brand new carpets. Almost simultaneously, a bunch of layoffs were announced. Then they started trying to neuter the union. These corporate guys aren't too subtle. They are clearly putting lipstick on the pig before taking her to market. Goldman seems to want to unload Education Management, which, by the way, has an $11 billion lawsuit hanging over its head for violating federal student recruiting rules. Which brings us back to our handsome leader, Todd S. Nelson. Before he was head of Education Management, he was the head of the nation's biggest for-profit chain, the Apollo Group. And he helped bring down a $280 million shareholder lawsuit upon Apollo for hiding a Department of Education report about recruiting violations from investors. Funny story. One of my friends told me that a while back, all the teachers had to attend a mandatory corporate ethics presentation at their school. They had to watch a video about how to be ethical. And guess who the star of the video was? The very same Mr. Nelson, paragon of corporate ethics. As they say, you can't make this stuff up. Well, I sure hope the teachers get a decent contract, but it's going to be tough. The two sides have very different ideas of what fairness means. The teachers want to be treated with respect and get support to do their jobs well so that the students will get a great education.
We're wearing respect faculty because the faculty is the group that's really fighting for you to have a good education.
Mr. Nelson and his friends at the top think that fairness means that he and his ilk get bigger and bigger rewards for making that pig look just as pretty as she can be to the Muppets out there who might be persuaded to buy her.
You should be really pissed off!
Education over corporation! Education over corporation! Education over corporation!
Respect the union!